The night was bitter enough to sting the lungs, but the cold wasn't what made the air tremble outside the worn-down apartment building. It was the fury of Jack Michael, a billionaire white American man who'd stormed out of a private car and taken the stairs two at a time, driven by a truth he wasn't ready to believe. He reached the top floor, breath cutting like glass, and didn't pause before slamming his shoulder into the thin door of the unit he'd tracked down. Wood cracked, hinges screamed, the lock burst, and there she was, Amelia Johnson, the black woman he'd once vowed to love until death, sat in a rocking chair that looked older than hope itself, with two newborn babies in her arms. The world didn't just stop. Jack felt it swerve. He hadn't prepared for this. He'd prepared for a fight, for accusations, for a confrontation that would finally let him unleash the anger that had fermented in him for 3 long, poisoned years. But this scene hit him with a violence far greater than the door he'd shattered. Amelia didn't scream. She didn't flinch. Her eyes lifted slowly, heavy with exhaustion deep enough to hollow out bone. "You're going to wake them," she said softly, like she'd run out of anything sharper. "Close the door." Jack stood frozen. He saw what he wasn't supposed to see: 2 tiny faces, sleeping against their mother, impossibly peaceful. And those faces, God. His breath stuttered. They looked like him. The same gray-green eyes, the same birthmark below the left ear, the unmistakable marks of the Michael bloodline. His hand tightened around the envelope he'd brought the hospital records, the birth certificates, the DNA results he'd demanded that morning, evidence he'd expected to use against her, evidence that now made his chest cave in. How long? The words scraped out of him, strangled. How long were you planning to hide them from me? Amelia shifted one of the babies, readjusting her quietly nursing daughter with hands that moved from instinct, not strength. "Violet's hungry," she murmured. "Willow just started. If you want to talk, wait until they're done. I asked you a question, and I told you to wait." Her voice wasn't harsh, it was emptied, drained, like she'd given every last piece of herself to surviving today. And there was nothing left for anger. Jack stepped inside. The door swung back behind him with a defeated thud, its broken lock clicking uselessly. His eyes scanned the apartment, one room that tried to be everything at once: bedroom, living room, nursery, kitchen, cribs built from mismatched donations, a hot plate where a stove should have been, blankets he recognized from shelters. "This is how you're living," the words came out cracked. "I'm living," she said simply, "which is more than you let me do when you chose your mother's voice over mine." Her name, Eleonora, stabbed through him like ice. Jack swallowed. "I have documentation. Amelia, everything from your lawsuit, medical bills, records. They show what you went through. They show, damn it. They show you almost died giving birth because no hospital would take you." "Congratulations," she muttered. "You can read. Why didn't you tell me?" She finally looked down at the child in her arms, Violet stroking her soft curls with a gentleness that made Jack ache. "I did," she whispered. "I tried." Her voice didn't rise. It didn't break. It simply existed. Heavy, uncolored by hope. "I waited outside your building until security threatened to arrest me. I wrote letters. I called from every phone I could borrow. I tried to enter your mother's charity gala in the pouring rain, and her men told me if I ever showed up again, they'd file charges. Jack staggered back a step. I never got any of that. Of course you didn't. Her eyes lifted to his. Your mother made sure you didn't. He felt his knees nearly give. He grabbed the wall for balance, leaving a smear of dust on the chipped paint. She told me. Amelia continued, voice flat. Told me to my face. She said you didn't want to hear from me, that you'd moved on, that I was a mistake you were grateful to escape. She said you were happy again. She wouldn't. Jack. Amelia cut in. She would, and she did. Jack's heart pounded like it was fighting to escape his chest. He saw images flash through his mind, documents in his mother's safe, witnesses he'd trusted, photographs he should have questioned, a paternity test he'd never verified. You believed them, Amelia said quietly. Every last one. And you never asked me why. Jack slid down the wall, suit crumpling against the cheap carpet. Amelia, I don't... Her voice cracked for the first time. Don't you dare fall apart now. You don't get to be the one hurting here. Silence swallowed the apartment. When he finally managed to speak, it was barely a whisper. When did you know that I was pregnant? She adjusted Willow, her movements tender and practiced. The day after you left, I took 3 tests. I was going to surprise you. I bought a little picture frame that said, Daddy's first photo. I'd made an appointment for us to see the ultrasound together. Jack's chest caved in. But instead, she said bitterly, I came home to an empty house. And your ring on the counter. He pressed his palms to his eyes, blinking back a pain so sharp he almost groaned. You wouldn't even let me speak the next day, Amelia whispered. You told me I disgusted you, that you never wanted to see me again. So I didn't hide your daughters. Jack, you hid yourself from us. She finished feeding the twins and rose from the chair, placing each tiny body gently into a crib. Both children stirred, but only Willow let out a soft sigh. Amelia pulled their blankets up, pausing for a moment just to breathe. Then she turned back. If you came here to take them, she said quietly, I won't fight you. I can't afford lawyers. I can barely afford heat. But if you want them, take them. Just keep your mother away. Jack crossed the room, stopping inches from her. I'm not taking them away. Then why are you here? He stared at her, lost. I thought I was coming here to confront you. But now I don't know anything anymore. I only know I became the weapon my mother wanted. Amelia's expression didn't change. She walked to the sink and washed her hands mechanically. You're going to leave now, she said, not turning. Decide what kind of father you want to be. If you come back, knock like a normal person. Tonight, you're leaving. Amelia, get out. Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Jack hesitated, but something in her eyes, something hollow, made him move. At the doorway, he turned, voice breaking. I'm sorry. She looked at him with a grief so sharp it glittered. Sorry doesn't feed my daughters, she whispered. Sorry doesn't erase what you did. Come back when you have something more useful to offer. The door closed between them, quiet, but final. Jack stood there, staring at the cracked frame, until he heard it, Amelia crying, broken. Muffled sobs that ripped through him. He pressed his forehead against the door. Inside, one of the newborns whimpered. Amelia's sobbing halted instantly, replaced with a soft humming, a lullaby she'd learned alone, in a life he'd abandoned. Jack sank to the hallway floor. He didn't know if forgiveness was possible. He didn't know if he deserved it. But he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving again. If you're still here, family, if this story touched something in you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss part 2. Your support keeps these stories alive. Jack didn't go home. He didn't even leave the building. He sank onto the concrete steps, one floor below Amelia's apartment, exhausted in a way money couldn't fix. His suit was wrinkled, tie crooked, hair disheveled. He looked nothing like the billionaire the world adored. He looked like a man who'd watched his life collapse in a single night. Above him, he heard the soft creak of Amelia's rocking chair, the tender hush of her voice, comforting one of the girls. Every sound was a knife twisting deeper. He pulled out his phone and opened his photo gallery. There she was. Amelia laughing at their wedding reception. Amelia curled up reading on their couch. Amelia in the kitchen, flour smudging her cheek, trying to perfect his grandmother's bread recipe. He remembered loving her so fiercely, it felt too big for his chest. He also remembered doubting her. Little seeds planted by the one person he trusted most, his mother. You're sure Amelia is where she says she is? I saw her with a man, probably innocent. But people talk. Darling, don't be naive. Women like her don't change. He'd let those seeds grow into suspicion, then mistrust, then destruction. A stairwell door opened. Jack straightened, hoping, stupidly, that it might be Amelia. It wasn't. Just a neighbor carrying groceries, giving him a curious glance before disappearing. Jack exhaled shakily and did the one thing he could think to do. He called his private investigator. I need everything, Jack said. Proof of the paternity test. Names of everyone who claimed to see her cheat. Financial records. Every witness. Every photo. Every signature. I want truth, not the version I paid for. The real truth. That's going to take time, the investigator said. You have 24 hours. He hung up before the man could argue. Next, he dialed his father. Richard Michael answered with a sleepy irritation. Jack, do you know what time? Did you know? Jack's voice cut through him. Did you know what Mom did to Amelia's silence? Heavy, tense, then no. Richard whispered, not the whole of it. Your mother. She acts alone. Jack's voice trembled. I have daughters. Dad. Twin daughters. They're 3 years old. And I've never held them. Never heard them laugh. Never even knew they existed. He fought through the tightness in his throat. And Amelia. She nearly died having them. Alone. Richard inhaled shakily. Jack, your mother would do anything to protect the family legacy. Jack snapped. I know. His father sighed. There is no limit to what she'll do. None. Jack knew that now. When he finally dragged himself up the stairs again, Amelia's apartment door was still broken. Light slipped through the crack beneath it. He lifted his hand to knock and froze. She needed rest. She needed safety from him, most of all. Instead, he texted his assistant. Get a contractor here first thing. Replace the door. Reinforce the frame. Install the best lock money can buy. Bring groceries for a mother with twins. Leave them at the door. Do not knock. Then he slid down the wall opposite her apartment and waited. He wouldn't leave. Not tonight. Not ever again. Hours later, a faint cry echoed through the door. Amelia's voice followed soft, worn, but steady. It's okay. Violet, Mama's here. Mama's always here. Jack closed his eyes. He wished that had been him. He wished he had been there to say those words. Now, he could only listen. He stayed until dawn. He wasn't sure Amelia would ever let him back into her heart, but he knew one thing with terrifying clarity. He would spend the rest of his life trying. Morning broke gray and thin, the kind of light that barely touched the narrow hallway outside Amelia's apartment. Jack hadn't slept. He stayed sitting on the floor, elbows on his knees, hands interlaced. A man trying to hold himself together with nothing but breath. Inside the apartment, he could sometimes hear a faint coo, the shift of Amelia's footsteps, the rustle of blankets. Each sound felt like both a gift and a punishment. He had been close enough to hear his daughters exist, but not close enough to be part of them. At 7 sharp, the contractor arrived, a lean, gray-bearded man, carrying tools that clanked heavily with each step. Which door, he asked, scanning the hallway. Jack pointed. The contractor looked at the splintered wood, let out a low whistle. Someone was mad. Jack didn't flinch. Can you fix it today? I can. Won't be cheap. Though. Frames cracked through. Locks done for. Hinges warped. This whole thing needs replacing. Just do it. The contractor shrugged. Your money. He started unpacking tools. Screws jingled on the floor. Metal clinked against wood. The sounds bounced between the walls, loud and unavoidable. A few minutes later, the apartment door opened a crack. Amelia's eyes met Jack's with a mixture of disbelief, annoyance, and resignation. You stayed out here all night, she said quietly. He rose stiffly to his feet. I couldn't leave. Not with the door broken. That isn't your responsibility anymore. It's exactly my responsibility. I'm the one who broke it. The contractor cleared his throat. Ma'am, I need to take the whole door off. It'll be loud for a bit. Amelia stared at him, then at Jack, then at the children's bedroom behind her. Her jaw tightened. Fine. Just don't touch anything except the door. Jack watched her. Her hair was pulled back in a loose bun, her eyes heavy with exhaustion, her clothes worn but clean. She looked like someone who'd carried the weight of the world for too long and had stopped expecting anyone to help lift it. You called someone, she said, turning to Jack. Yes, he answered simply. You should have asked me first. You would have said no. That's not the point, she snapped quietly. You don't get to fix things your way anymore. Not after what you did. He swallowed. I know. Her breath hitched. The smallest shake in her hands, betraying the calm she tried to project. I'm going to work. My neighbor's watching the girls. When I get back, you're gone. Do you understand? Where do you work? Jack asked. That has nothing to do with you. I'm trying to understand your life now, Amelia. I'm trying to do what? She stepped closer, eyes burning, to compensate, to catch up, to pretend that 3 years didn't happen. You can't understand my life. You didn't live it. She moved past him, heading down the stairs. Jack followed, but not closely. They exited the building. Jack pushed his hands into his pockets to keep from reaching for her. She exhaled sharply. I work the breakfast shift at a diner on 5th. Then I clean offices downtown until early evening. Then I come home, feed the girls, bathe them, put them to sleep, and pray nothing goes wrong because I can't afford anything going wrong. That's my life. Let me help you, Jack said quietly. No. She didn't even look at him. Because every time you help, something worse happens after. Your mother finds out, or someone you know sees me, or another door slams shut in my face. I won't let her hurt you again. You already did, Amelia said, stepping onto the bus. You let her destroy everything. The doors closed between them. Jack stood there, staring after the bus until it turned a corner and disappeared. He returned to the building and waited in the hallway while the contractor worked. The neighbor, a middle-aged woman with a kind smile, opened the door to let Jack know she was watching the twins. The apartment smelled like baby powder and stale heat. The contractor drilled into the frame while Jack stood uselessly in the corner. His phone buzzed. It was his investigator. A flood of files dropped into his inbox. Jack scrolled through them, and with each page, the truth deepened its claws. The photographs were staged. The witnesses were paid. The paternity test was forged. The rumors, the sabotaged job applications, the evictions, they all traced back to one person, his mother. He read the hospital notes next. Amelia's hemorrhage, the emergency intervention, the social worker's attempts to help her, blocked by unexplained complications, the nurse's comments about how Amelia cried when she finally held her twins. He reached the note that described Amelia arriving at the hospital alone, with no insurance, in active labor. That broke him. His phone rang again, his mother's number. Jack answered. Darling, Eleonora said smoothly. I trust you've handled the situation. Jack's jaw clenched. Why? Why? What? Why did you destroy her life? A small laugh floated through the speaker. Light and cold. I protected you. Jack, you were making a catastrophic mistake. She was my wife. She was a liability. She almost died because of you. Oh, don't dramatize. She survived. Didn't she? And now she's suing us. She wants money. You see, this is exactly what I warned you about. Jack's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. I have daughters. A pause. Slight, but telling. Twins. He continued. 3 years old. And I didn't know about them because of you. They're better off without. Stop talking. Silence. You destroyed my marriage, Jack said. You destroyed her stability. You destroyed her dignity. And now you want me to intimidate her into dropping a lawsuit. I won't do it. You will. Eleonora replied sharply. Because I am your mother. No, Jack said. Not anymore. He hung up and blocked her number. The contractor finished the door. The frame gleamed with new metal, the lock solid and heavy. "She won't have trouble with security again," he said. Jack nodded, thanking the man quietly. Hours later, Amelia returned from work, hair damp from the drizzle, uniform stained with coffee. When she saw the new door, she froze. "You had no right," she whispered. Jack didn't defend himself. "I just wanted you to feel safe. That's not your job anymore." "I know." She opened the door, stepping inside. Before she closed it, she paused. "You're trying," she said quietly. "I see that, but trying doesn't erase what you did." "I know," Jack whispered, "but it's all I can do." "Then do it somewhere else. For now." She closed the door gently. Jack stood alone in the hallway, staring at the barrier between them, not broken this time, but solid, reinforced, stronger than before. He wondered if anything else in their lives could be rebuilt like that. He didn't go home. Again. He stayed. The rhythm of their fractured coexistence lasted a few uneasy days. Amelia kept moving like a machine built for survival work. Childcare, exhaustion, prayer, repeat. Jack stayed close, but did not intrude. He helped with the twins only when Amelia allowed it, which wasn't often. Then the doorbell rang one afternoon. Amelia opened the door expecting a neighbor. Instead, Eleonora stood there. Her posture was flawless. Her suit was immaculate. Her lawyer hovered behind her with a briefcase and an expression that carried no warmth. "Good afternoon," Eleonora said. "We need to talk." Amelia's breath hitched, but she didn't step back. "You aren't welcome here." "I'll be brief," Eleonora replied. "I'm offering you a settlement. $10 million for full custody. You leave the state, start over somewhere else, and the children become part of the Michael legacy." Amelia blinked once, then again, like she needed time to process the audacity. "You want to buy my daughters." "Not buy," Eleonora corrected. "Provide them a superior life." Amelia laughed, soft and humorless. "You destroyed my life. You ruined every job I applied to. You nearly got me evicted. And now you want me to hand you my children. You're clearly unstable." "I survived you," Amelia said. "That's not instability. That's strength. Strength is irrelevant. Opportunity matters. And you cannot offer them what we can." "Maybe not," Amelia whispered. "But I can offer them love. Something you know nothing about." Before Eleonora could respond, the door opened wider behind Amelia. Jack stepped into view, expression ice cold. "Get out," he said. Eleonora smiled thinly. "Darling, I'm only doing what you cannot. You need to leave." Her eyes narrowed. "We are handling a legal matter. You're trespassing." The twins began to fuss in the background, sensing the tension. Amelia instinctively stepped back to soothe them, but Eleonora moved to follow, only to find Jack blocking her path. "Jack," she snapped. "You're done," he said. "No more lies. No more manipulation. No more access. You think you can cut me out?" she hissed. "I am your mother." "I know," he whispered. "And that's the tragedy." Richard appeared behind Eleonora in the hallway, breathless from the stairs. His eyes dropped to the lawyer, the briefcase, then to Jack. "It stops now," Richard said firmly. Eleonora spun toward him. You don't get to interfere. I already have, Richard replied. I've filed for divorce, and I'm testifying against you. Eleonora's composure cracked. You're choosing them over me. I'm choosing what's right. You are weak, she snapped. No, Richard said quietly. I'm finally strong. Eleonora's mask shattered. She lunged, hand raised, and struck Amelia across the face. The sound hit the room like lightning. The twins screamed. Amelia stumbled, but didn't fall. She held both babies tight, tears welling into her eyes. Jack didn't think. He grabbed Eleonora's arm mid-air and shoved her toward the hallway. If you ever touch her again, he said, voice trembling with rage, I will destroy everything you own, every dollar, every reputation, every legacy you worship. Do you understand me? Eleonora glared at him, breathing hard. This isn't over. She spat. Yes, Jack said. It is. He closed the door. Inside, Amelia stood frozen, babies crying, cheek reddening, heart breaking all over again. Jack approached slowly. Amelia, I'm so... Don't, she whispered. Just don't. She looked at him like he was a stranger. You let her destroy me once, she said, voice cracking. I can't survive it again. Please, leave. Jack's hands shook as he stepped back. I'll be outside if you need anything. No, she whispered. If I need anything, I'll handle it myself, like I always have. He left the apartment quietly. Outside. He leaned against the opposite wall and closed his eyes. Inside. The twins cried. Amelia soothed them. And the war Eleonora had started finally ignited its flames. The apartment felt different after Eleonora's intrusion, like she'd injected poison into the air. Amelia couldn't stop replaying the slap, the shock of it, the burn on her cheek. Every time she blinked, she saw Jack's mother lunging at her, saw Jack grabbing her arm, saw the look of horror that crossed his face, too late to undo the damage. The twins sensed her tension. They clung to her, fussing more than usual. She held them against her chest, rocking slowly in the dim light, humming more for her own comfort than theirs. The melody trembled with every breath. When the apartment grew quiet again, she finally turned toward the window. Jack was across the street, leaning against a street lamp, not pacing, not staring, just waiting. A silent promise carved into the cold air. It angered her and softened her all at once. She didn't ask him to come. She told him to leave, but he stayed anyway. She hated that part of her noticed. After hours of pacing inside, she placed the girls in their crib, layered in soft blankets. She breathed over them like a shield, then stepped into the hallway. One quiet click of the lock. The cold corridor smelled faintly of cleaning bleach and old carpet. She walked outside. Jack straightened instantly, like her presence was a pull on a string inside his chest. Are the twins okay? He asked softly. They're asleep now, she said. Finally, he nodded. The dim streetlight cast shadows across his face, revealing the exhaustion under his eyes. He'd been awake all night and the day before. He looked like a man who couldn't afford rest. She crossed her arms. Why did you bring her there? He shook his head hard. I didn't. I swear it. Amelia. I haven't spoken to her since that phone call. She must have tracked my location or had someone follow me. She slapped me. I know. His voice cracked. I saw. Amelia flinched. Jack. She's dangerous. She doesn't want those girls because she loves them. She wants them because they fit her image. She wants to control them like she controlled you. He didn't deny it. I'll protect you. Them. Whatever I have to do legally, financially, physically. She won't get near you again. You can't make promises you may not be able to keep. He stepped closer, his expression raw. I can and I will. She stared at him. He was trembling, not from fear, from the weight of everything he'd done and what he wanted to undo. She exhaled. Jack, you need to understand something. I'm not scared of her. I'm tired of her. There's a difference. He blinked. Does that mean you want me to? No. She cut in gently. I don't want anything from you right now. I just want space, safety, peace. He swallowed hard. I want to be in their lives. Amelia, even if you hate me forever, I want to love them. Wanting isn't the same as deserving. He closed his eyes. The words hit him like a blow, but they were honest. After a long moment, she said, Come upstairs. We need to talk. The words surprised both of them. Inside the apartment, she motioned to the couch. Jack sat stiffly, like he feared breaking something. Amelia stayed standing, arms folded. I'm filing a restraining order, she said, against her. He replied immediately. Good. Her eyebrows arched slightly. She hadn't expected an argument, but she also hadn't expected his quick acceptance. You won't fight it, she asked. I'll support it. And if she goes after you because of it, let her. I don't owe her anything anymore. Amelia studied him. Her voice softened. You owe yourself healing from her. Jack looked down at his hands. They shook slightly. I don't know who I am without her influence. Then it's time you figure that out, Amelia said. He nodded slowly. Silence settled between them again, thicker this time, more vulnerable. Can I see them? He asked quietly. She hesitated. He noticed but didn't push. If not today, another day. Amelia's shoulders sagged with exhaustion. She walked to the crib, glanced at the peaceful faces of Violet and Willow, then stepped aside. Be quiet, she whispered. They barely fell asleep. Jack approached with reverence, like the girls were made of something holy. His breath caught when he saw them. He knelt beside the crib. Violet, sensing movement, stirred. One tiny hand stretched out, brushing his sleeve. His eyes filled, but he didn't make a sound. His fingers hovered before he gently touched her hand. Her fingers curled instinctively around his. Jack closed his eyes, emotion forcing its way through every crack in him. He stayed like that, bent, humbled, undone, while Amelia watched in silence. When he finally stood, he wiped his eyes discreetly. I'm not asking for forgiveness today, he said. I know I don't deserve it. I just want a chance to be their father. Amelia didn't answer immediately. She walked him to the door, her movements slow. Before he left, He turned back. I'm not giving up. She held the door between them. I never asked you to. He nodded once, stepped into the hallway, and she closed the door softly. Amelia leaned her forehead against it, exhausted, conflicted, but no longer alone. Jack didn't go home for 3 days after the confrontation with Eleonora. He stayed in a hotel on the opposite side of the city, where no one recognized him. No staff fussed over him. No chauffeur waited outside. No executives called asking for signatures. He needed the silence, the anonymity. He needed space to think. He hadn't realized how much of his life his mother arranged until he stripped everything back. Meals, schedules, donations, appearances. Even holidays were curated by her standards. He'd lived inside a gilded cage, and Amelia had been shoved out of it. Now he watched his phone light up with messages from lawyers, board members, shareholders, family friends. Half were panicking. The other half were demanding updates. He answered none. He was too busy reading everything his investigator had compiled. Each record was a punch, emails from Eleonora instructing employees to block Amelia, bank transfers to pay off fake witnesses, documents tampered with, staff fired for helping Amelia, social workers silenced, a nurse threatened. Jack closed the laptop and sat in the quiet darkness of the hotel room. His breathing felt uneven, shallow. A question pressed against his ribs. What am I? Without the version of myself she created. He wasn't sure, but he knew what he didn't want to be anymore. On the 5th morning, he went to the courthouse and filed a restraining order on Amelia's behalf, and with her name listed as the protected party. His mother was served within hours. Her rage was instant. Calls, emails, threats of cutting him off. Warnings about family reputation, furious messages about betrayal. He blocked every number. Later that afternoon, he drove to Amelia's building. He didn't text ahead, didn't assume he was welcome. He stood in the hallway like a man on trial. Amelia opened the door slowly, hair wrapped in a headscarf, tank top soft with wear, holding Willow on her hip. Violet tugged at her pant leg. Jack's breath caught. They're getting bigger. It's been a week, she said. They're not growing that fast. He smiled a little, but Amelia didn't return it. What do you want? Jack. He took a breath. To help you. For real this time. Without strings. There are always strings. Not this time. Willow babbled and reached out toward him. Without thinking, he stepped forward. Amelia didn't stop him, which surprised him enough to hesitate. You can hold her, she said quietly, if you want to. His throat tightened. I want to. She handed Willow to him, carefully. The little girl settled against his chest, like she belonged there. Her warmth, her tiny heartbeat, the softness of her curls against his chin, it shattered him. He held her like something precious he'd nearly lost. Violet crawled closer, tugging his pant leg. He bent and scooped her up too, settling both girls against him. They fit against him perfectly. His eyes blurred. Jack, Amelia said, voice gentler now. He met her gaze. Why are you crying? Because they're real, he whispered. Because I missed all of this. Their first steps, their first words, their first holidays, their first everything. Willow patted his cheek like she sensed the sadness. Violet pressed her forehead to his chest. He closed his eyes, holding them close. When he finally looked up, Amelia was watching him with a mix of pain and softness that made his chest ache. "I filed the restraining order," she said. "The judge signed it." Jack nodded. "I know. You did it. Didn't you?" "I did." "Why? Because you shouldn't have to fight her alone. Because I won't let her touch you or them again. Because it was the right thing." She took a slow breath. "You're changing." "I'm trying." Their eyes lingered on each other longer than either expected. "You need to earn my trust back," she said. "I know. And my forgiveness. If that ever comes, I'll wait. As long as it takes." She nodded. For the first time since the night he broke down her door, she opened the apartment wider. "Come inside," she said. "But take your shoes off. The girls crawl everywhere." He stepped in, carrying his daughters. The door closed softly behind them, a door once shattered, now rebuilt stronger than before. Inside, a new beginning waited, fragile but real. For the first time since Amelia had shut him out of her world, Jack stood in her apartment without tension, thickening the air. The twins clung to him, babbling softly as he carried them inside. He inhaled slowly, overwhelmed by the simple warmth of their small bodies. He felt unsteady, like he was holding the universe and could drop it at any moment. Amelia closed the door behind them. No gust of cold air rushed through, no broken frame, no fear following close behind, just the faint hum of the heater and the soft breathing of their daughters. Jack lowered himself onto the floor, letting the twins crawl into his lap. Willow grabbed the string of his hoodie, tugging until he leaned forward. Violet climbed into his chest, curling into his shirt like she'd found a familiar heartbeat. Amelia watched from across the room, leaning against the counter, her arms folded not in anger, but in a hesitant attempt to keep herself steady. "You're good with them," she said. Jack glanced up at her. "I'm trying not to scare them." "You won't." Her voice softened. "They're not scared of you." He looked down at them, at Violet's curious eyes and Willow's quiet, studying gaze. "Maybe they know I need them more than they need me. That isn't how babies work." He let out a breath, half laugh, half wound. Amelia moved closer. Not too close, but closer. "Have you been sleeping?" she asked. He shook his head. "Not really." "Eating?" "I forget sometimes." She sighed. "You can't show up for them if you're falling apart." "I'm not falling apart." "Jack, you're shaking." He looked at his hands. She was right. The tremors were faint, but constant. A mixture of too many nights without rest, too many years living under Eleonora's shadow, and too much guilt. Amelia crouched down beside him, her knees brushing the carpet. The twins bumped into her legs, babbling happily. She gently stroked Violet's head, the sight pulling something warm and sharp through Jack's ribs. "You said you wanted to help," she murmured. "I did." "Then start by taking care of yourself." "I will," he said quietly, "as long as you let me take care of you too." She pulled her hand away from Violet and stood, putting a little distance back between them. "I'm not ready for that. I can barely handle the idea of us being in the same room without everything breaking open." His shoulders tensed. "I understand, but I'm not shutting the door on you." She swallowed. "Not anymore." Violet tugged at Jack's sleeve again. Willow climbed into his lap, curling her fingers in his collar. Jack steadied them automatically, his movements gentle, protective, instinctive, like something he was born to do, but was only now learning. After a moment, Amelia said, "I have a question. Anything. Do you hate her?" "Who, your mother?" Jack froze. Amelia didn't break eye contact. "I need honesty. Not what you think you should say. What you actually feel." Jack looked down at the twins. Willow's hands played with his fingers. Violet leaned against his chest, humming softly. For a long time, he didn't speak. "I hate what she did," he said finally. "I hate how she manipulated me. I hate what she stole from you. From them." He paused. "But do I hate her? I don't know. She raised me to believe I owed her everything, that I was only valuable if I agreed with her. I spent most of my life worshiping a woman who couldn't love anything she didn't control." Amelia's expression softened. "I'm angry," he continued. "I'm grieving the childhood I thought I had. I'm grieving the marriage I ruined. I'm grieving time I can't get back. And her, I don't know how to stop being her son," he whispered. "But I know I can't let her rule me anymore." Amelia lowered herself onto the couch, her back straight, her hands in her lap. "That's a start." They sat quietly for a moment, the twins crawling between them. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "What's that?" Amelia asked warily. "Not money," he said. "Not anything you have to sign. It's something I did for myself." She waited. Jack slid the envelope across the floor to her. Amelia opened it cautiously. Inside was a restraining order. He'd filed one against Eleonora, for himself as well. Her eyes widened. "Jack, I didn't ask you to do this. You didn't have to. I need to learn how to protect myself. I need to stop letting her dictate who I am." He swallowed. "And I need to prove I'm not choosing her over you ever again." Amelia stared at him for a long moment, something unreadable passing over her face. "You're changing," she whispered. "I'm trying," he said. "For them. For you. For me." Her breath trembled. She lifted Willow into her lap, settling the baby against her. The transition felt fragile, like the beginning of something that could become everything or nothing at all. "Jack," she said quietly, "I don't love you the way I used to. I don't trust you the way I used to. Not yet." He nodded, though the words sank into his chest like stones. "But," Amelia exhaled slowly, "I don't hate you either. Not anymore. I don't think I've hated you for a long time. I was just scared of what you could break if you got close again." His voice was barely a breath. "And now, she said softly, "I think maybe you won't break me again." Something flickered in his eyes. Relief, pain, hope. He reached for Violet, who climbed into his arms without hesitation. "Thank you," he murmured. "Don't thank me yet," she said, though her voice had lost its sharp edges. "This doesn't erase what happened. This is just the first crack in the wall between us." "I'll take it," Jack whispered. "One crack is enough to start rebuilding." Amelia looked away, blinking fast. When she turned back, her gaze held something gentler than anything she'd shown him since the night he broke her door. "You can stay a little longer," she said. "How long until they fall asleep?" He nodded. He didn't ask for more. He didn't push. He didn't demand forgiveness he hadn't earned. He simply held his daughters and let the quiet settle, warm and fragile, around all four of them. For the first time in years, the apartment didn't feel like a battleground. It felt like possibility. The soft glow of the living room lamp pushed back the darkness, casting warm amber light across the apartment. The twins were finally asleep, little bundles of slow, even breaths tucked into their cribs, leaving the quiet thick enough to touch. Amelia lingered beside the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, watching Jack as he gently placed Willow's stuffed rabbit beside her. His movements were careful, reverent, like he was touching something holy. When he turned around, they just looked at each other, two people tethered together by mistakes, by blood, by love that refused to die quietly. "Coffee?" Amelia asked. Jack blinked, surprised. "If you're having one. It's late. I shouldn't, but..." She shrugged. "I won't sleep anyway. I'll stay up with you," he said softly. They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table. No romantic music, no fireworks, just the hum of the fridge and the sound of two mugs being set down gently on the wooden surface. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Amelia leaned back, tracing a circle along the rim of her mug. "The hearing took something out of me, more than I expected." Jack nodded. "It took something out of all of us." She studied him. "But you held yourself together better than I thought you would." He let out a bitter laugh. "That wasn't holding myself together. That was holding myself accountable. Big difference." She didn't smile. "Still, you faced her. You didn't back down. That meant something." He swallowed. "I wasn't protecting myself. I was protecting you and the girls. And that meant something too." Her voice had dropped to a quiet, dangerous softness. Dangerous because it sounded like forgiveness, brushing against the edges of her heart. Jack took a small breath. "There's something I need to ask you, and you can say no. You can yell. You can tell me it's too soon. I'll accept it." Amelia's shoulders tensed. "What is it I want to be officially in their lives? Not just the man who shows up 3 days a week. I want to be legally listed as their father." Her mouth parted. Not in anger, more like panic. "Jack, hear me out," he said gently. "I'm not asking for custody changes. Not asking to move in. Not asking for anything that forces you into something you're not ready for." His voice was steady, but his fingers trembled around the mug. "I just want my name on the record. I want them to have everything I can give them legally, financially, medically. And if one day something happens to me, I want them protected." She stared at him for so long, he felt every second stretch, like a wire pulled too tight. "Jack," she finally whispered, "I don't know if I'm strong enough to undo the paperwork I fought so hard to protect us with." "You wouldn't be undoing anything," he said quietly. "You'd be giving them more support, more security, more love. More family that won't ever walk away again." She swallowed, blinking hard as her eyes began to shine. "It's not about paperwork," she murmured. "It's about trust." "I know." His voice cracked. "And I'm not asking for your trust. I'm asking for a chance to earn it. Through them." Her breath shook. "I thought about it before. she admitted. I thought about adding you. I even filled out the forms once. She looked away. Then I panicked and tore them up. Jack's chest tightened. Why? Because I didn't know which version of you would show up the next day. Because I couldn't risk the girls getting used to you only for you to disappear again. Her eyes flicked back to his. But that's not who you are now. You've changed. And not for me, for them. He exhaled. Relief and uncertainty tangled together. Amelia, he said slowly. If you're not ready, I'll wait. I'll wait as long as you need. I just want you to know I'm not going anywhere. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was thoughtful, deep, the kind that comes before decisions that shift the course of a life. Finally, she whispered, almost to herself, maybe it's time. His breath hitched. Are you sure no? She said honestly, but I'm done letting fear parent our daughters. If I keep letting what you did dictate every choice I make, then I'm letting your mother win all over again. Her voice didn't shake now. It grew steadier with each word. They deserve two parents who show up, two parents who love them, two parents who are trying, even if they're flawed. Jack bowed his head. They deserve everything, and they'll have it, she murmured. I'll file the paperwork tomorrow. His eyes lifted to hers, stunned and humbled. Amelia, thank you. Don't thank me, she said softly. Just keep being the man you are now. She stood then, moving past him toward the sink. But as she did, his hand reached out, not grabbing, not pulling, just gently brushing her wrist. She froze. They both froze. Her breath hitched. Slowly, she turned to look at him. He rose from his chair, taking a cautious half-step closer. Can I? He asked. She swallowed. Can you what? Hold you. Not as an apology, not as a plea. Just hold you. Because tonight was a lot, and because I want to give you something back. Even if it's only this. Her chest rose and fell in uneven movements. For a long moment, she didn't answer. Then, barely audible, she said, Yes. Jack moved slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. Hesitant, careful. He lifted his hands, resting them lightly on her arms. She closed her eyes, and he eased her against his chest. No passion, no urgency, just warmth, just presence, just hearts remembering how to beat in the same rhythm. Amelia let out a shaky breath and rested her forehead against his collarbone. I forgot what this felt like. Jack's voice was low. Me too. She didn't pull away. Not for a long time. When she finally did, her eyes were softer but also guarded. Don't read too much into that, she whispered. I won't. He promised. But don't read too little into it either. Something flickered between them, gentle, dangerous, new. She walked him to the door, pausing as he stepped into the hallway. Jack, she said quietly. Yeah, her hand rested on the frame, knuckles brushing the fresh wood he'd paid to repair. I'm proud of you, she whispered, and I didn't think I ever would be again. His heart clenched. Good night, Amelia. Good night. The door clicked softly behind him. For the first time in years. Jack walked down the hallway feeling lighter. Not forgiven, not restored, but choosing hope. and knowing she was choosing it too slowly, carefully, piece by fragile piece. The morning after Amelia agreed to add Jack to the twins' birth certificates, something in the air felt different, not lighter, not quite hopeful, but steadier. Like the ground beneath them had stopped shaking, even if the storm clouds still hung overhead. Jack woke before sunrise, unable to sleep, his mind replaying every moment from the night before, the way Amelia leaned into him, the tremble in her breathing, the warmth of her forehead against his chest. He'd held her without expectation, without the weight of old promises. And in that small moment of closeness, he'd felt something shift, quiet, delicate, unmistakably real. He got dressed and paced his apartment until the clock finally granted him permission to knock on her door. 3 soft taps, no more. The new door didn't deserve the violence of the past. Amelia opened it, hair wrapped in a scarf, eyes sleepy but alert. She'd been awake for hours too, he could tell from the tension in her shoulders. "Morning," she said, stepping aside so he could enter. "Good morning," he replied, keeping his voice low so he wouldn't wake the girls. The apartment smelled like oatmeal and baby lotion. Soft cartoon music drifted from the living room where Violet and Willow played on the floor in matching pajamas. The sight hit Jack with the force of a memory he'd never lived, but always wanted. Amelia caught him staring and cleared her throat. "They woke up early. I tried to keep them quiet." "You don't have to apologize," he said. "This is their home." She blinked, surprised by the gentle certainty in his tone. He crouched to the floor, and Willow immediately ran to him, her tiny legs wobbling as she crashed into his arms. Violet hung back a moment longer, studying him with her observant eyes, before finally toddling toward him too, when they were both sitting in his lap, giggling as they climbed over each other. Amelia leaned against the counter and watched, really watched. Her face softened, the faintest curve touching her lips. "You're good at this now," she murmured. "I'm trying to make up for lost time." "You can't make it up," she said, "but you can replace it with something better." Jack's throat tightened. "I hope so." After breakfast, Amelia grabbed her purse. "I need to go to the courthouse to submit the paperwork. I was going to take the girls with me. But if you're here, I'll stay," he said without hesitation. "Go. Take your time." Her eyes flicked to the twins, then back to him. He could see the internal war protective instinct versus the new trust growing between them. "I'll leave their bag by the door," she said finally. "Call if you need me." He smiled. "I won't need you, but I'll call if they need you." Her breath caught, a flash of emotion softening her gaze before she turned away. Amelia returned 2 hours later, and everything changed. Jack was on the floor, building towers of blocks with the twins. Both girls squealed each time the tower fell, tumbling onto Jack's lap with delighted shrieks. They were happy effortlessly, freely happy. And Jack, without even realizing it, was laughing with them. Not a reluctant laugh, or one born from nerves. A real one. A laugh Amelia hadn't heard in years. She stood there in the doorway, keys still in her hand, watching them. Jack looked up, and when their eyes met, hers shimmered with something sharp and warm. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I filed everything. That's good, he said softly. It's a big step. It is. The weight of those words filled the space between them. Later that afternoon, Amelia sat at the table, textbooks open as she studied for her upcoming exam. Jack moved quietly around the apartment, the twins napping in the bedroom. Every so often, he'd glance toward her, not staring, not intruding, just a quiet presence orbiting around her new life, around their new life. When the girls woke up crying, he went to them without her asking. She listened from the living room as his voice soothed them, patient and gentle. He'd once been the reason she cried each night. Now he was the reason their daughters quieted. When he returned carrying the girls, Amelia closed her textbook, staring at him with an expression he couldn't interpret. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing," she said softly. "Everything." He waited. "How did you learn all of this?" she whispered. He looked down at Willow resting against his shoulder. "By failing, by trying again, by showing up, by watching you." Amelia didn't look away. "You weren't this man before." "I know," he said, "but I'm him now." Her lips parted. No words came out. That night, after Jack left, Amelia carried the twins to bed and sat alone in the dim light of the living room. Every instinct told her to guard herself, to keep the walls up, to remember the pain. But another voice whispered, just as boldly, "He's not the same." She had been strong enough to survive alone, but strength wasn't the same as healing, and healing wasn't the same as hope. The next morning, she knocked on his apartment door for the first time since he moved into the building. Jack opened it quickly, surprised. "Everything okay?" he asked. Amelia held 2 coffee cups in her hands, offered one to him, and whispered, "Come upstairs. I think we need to talk." Jack followed her up the stairs with careful steps, afraid to hope for too much, but unable to stop his heart from racing. When they reached her apartment, she didn't sit. She paced once, twice, then turned to him with unguarded eyes. "I don't know how to do this," she said. "We'll figure it out. I don't know how to trust you completely. You don't have to. I don't know if I'll ever stop being angry. You don't need to. But," her breath wavered, "I don't want to keep pretending like nothing is happening. My heart is waking up, Jack, and it's scaring me." He stepped closer, not touching her, not even reaching, but letting her feel the warmth of his presence. "You told me you needed time," he said quietly. "I meant it when I said I'd go slow." "I don't want slow," she said. Jack froze. "I want honest. I want intentional. I want real." His chest rose with a deep breath. "I can give you that." She swallowed hard. "Then tell me the truth. What do you want from us?" Not the polite version, not the careful version, the real one. He looked at her, really looked, memorizing the lines of her face, the exhaustion and strength woven into her eyes, the remnants of love she tried so hard to hide. "I want us," he said simply. "I want a family with you. I want to wake up with you, put the girls to bed with you, argue with you, laugh with you, love you, for the rest of my life." Her eyes filled with tears, and, he added, voice thickening, "If all you ever want from me is to co-parent, I'll accept that too. I'll stay in their lives and never push you, But if you want us to, even the smallest part of you, then I'll spend the rest of my life earning it. Silence. A deep, trembling silence. Then Amelia whispered, "Jack, I do want us." He closed his eyes, breath shaking. "But I don't want the old us." She finished, "I want the version of us that grows out of everything we survived. Then that's the version I'll build with you." With a soft, tentative step, she moved into his arms, not collapsing, not surrendering, just choosing. For the first time in years, she let herself choose him. He held her gently, the way a man holds something he's terrified to lose, the way a man holds a future he's willing to fight for. And Amelia, for the first time since the night he broke her door, let her forehead rest against his chest right where her heart remembered him first. The day Amelia finally let Jack back into her life, not as a guest, not as a shadow, but as a partner, was not marked by any grand gesture or celebration. It began quietly, with the soft murmur of the twins waking from their nap, and the still warm imprint of her forehead against his chest. Jack didn't rush the moment. He didn't kiss her or cling to her. He let her step back first, let her breathe, let her choose her next move without pressure. She wiped at her eyes, embarrassed by the vulnerability she'd shown. But he didn't look at her with pity. He looked at her like she was rebuilding herself right in front of him, and he was witnessing something sacred. "Are you hungry?" she whispered. Jack blinked. "A little. I made stew earlier. The girls like it. I like whatever you make," he said. And she gave him a half-smile, small, but real. He helped her dish out bowls. They ate at the tiny kitchen table, knees brushing lightly under the wood. They talked about nothing and everything, the girl's new obsession with stacking cups, her upcoming exams, a neighborhood kid who kept knocking his basketball against the wall too late at night. It felt domestic, normal, shockingly natural. And yet, beneath every word was a quiet understanding. "We're trying again, but differently this time. Carefully, intentionally." When the twins wandered over and lifted their arms, Jack scooped them onto his lap. Amelia watched him, something warm and unguarded flickering in her eyes. She didn't interrupt, didn't correct his technique, didn't hover like she used to. Trust, small but undeniable, was taking root. The first major test of their new fragile beginning came a week later. A storm rolled through the city, heavy rain blowing sideways against the windows. Jack had been planning to head home after dinner, giving Amelia her space. But as he stood by the door, putting on his coat, thunder cracked so loud the twins wailed at the same time. Amelia froze, unsure whether to grab both girls or soothe one first. Jack's instinct took over. "I've got Willow," he said softly. She nodded, scooping Violet into her arms. They rocked the girls together in the dim living room, the rain hammering against the fire escape. When the thunder rumbled again, Willow buried her face in Jack's chest. "You're okay," he whispered, kissing the top of her head. "Daddy's got you," Violet whimpered, clinging to Amelia's shirt. Amelia's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Storms scare her." "Me too," Jack said quietly. Amelia looked up, startled by the admission. "When I was little," he continued, "my mom hated storms. She used to say they ruined her mood, so she'd send me to my room alone. He swallowed. I used to wish someone would hold me and say it was okay to be afraid. A silence fell over the room, soft, heavy, and then Amelia whispered, "You're not alone now." He met her eyes, and in that moment, something inside him eased something that had been tight and painful since childhood. By the time the storm passed, both girls were asleep in their parents' arms. Amelia gently transferred Violet to her crib. Jack followed with Willow, lingering for a moment longer, brushing her curls from her face. When he turned around, Amelia was standing behind him. "You can stay," she said, "for the night, for as long as you want." His breath caught. "Are you sure? Tonight?" She corrected softly. "Just tonight." He nodded, understanding completely. They didn't sleep in the same bed. Amelia gave him the couch, but when she brought him a blanket and he murmured thank you, she didn't leave immediately. She stood there, twisting her fingers together before finally speaking. "You know I'm not jumping back into anything. I know. And I still need space sometimes. I still get angry. I still break down out of nowhere. That's okay. And I still don't trust easily. I'll earn it." "Yeah," he said. She hesitated. "And I still love you. In a complicated way." He exhaled shakily. "I love you in a simple way." Her eyes softened. "Good night, Jack. Good night, Amelia." 2 months passed. Healing wasn't linear. Some days were bright, filled with laughter, soft touches, quiet confessions. Other days felt jagged, pulled tight with old wounds. Sometimes Amelia woke from nightmares of her birth, or the eviction notice, or the night Jack broke down her door. On those nights, she'd slip into the living room where he still slept on the couch, sit beside him silently, and let him hold her until the tremors stopped. She hated needing him. He loved being needed. Slowly, they found equilibrium. Jack moved from the couch to the guest mattress on the floor, then from the mattress to helping tuck the twins in each night, then to morning breakfasts and afternoon walks. Not once did he push for more. And one afternoon, Amelia realized something startling. She missed him when he wasn't in the room, not the version from their marriage, the one who didn't listen, didn't question his mother, didn't stand up for them. She missed this man, the man who knelt to tie Violet's shoes without being asked, who carried Willow on his shoulders like she weighed nothing, who spoke to Amelia with gentleness instead of pride, who made coffee the way she liked without needing instructions, who apologized without excuses, who let her be strong and soft at the same time. She'd been waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it didn't. Instead, one morning, she woke up and saw him folding laundry with the twins climbing over the clean clothes. And she thought, this is home. The real turning point came on a quiet evening in early spring. The twins were in bed. The apartment was peaceful. Amelia sat on the couch, reading for class, while Jack fixed the loose hinge on the kitchen cabinet. The light above the stove flickered, and he reached up to adjust it. She watched him, unaware she'd stopped reading. He glanced back. What, nothing? He smiled a little. You're staring at me. She closed her book. I'm thinking. About what? She took a breath. It's time for you to stop sleeping on the couch. Jack froze. You want me to go home earlier? She stood slowly, walking toward him. I want you in my bed. His breath left him all at once, like the wind had been knocked out of him gently instead of violently. Amelia, he said, voice unsteady. We don't have to rush. I'm not rushing, she interrupted softly. I'm choosing. She stepped closer. This isn't about forgiveness, she whispered. It's about the life we're building. It's about our daughters. It's about wanting you. It's about loving you. His eyes closed, overwhelmed. When he opened them, she was right in front of him, her hands sliding up his chest, hesitant at first, then certain. He cupped her face gently. Are you sure? Yes. He kissed her. Slow, reverent. Deep, not the kiss of two people discovering one another, but of two souls rediscovering the place they belonged. That night, they didn't rush. They didn't try to erase the past. They made something new slow, tender, full of whispered promises and trembling certainty. And in the morning, when Willow toddled into the bedroom and crawled between them giggling, Violet scrambling right behind her, Amelia laughed, a sound Jack hadn't heard in years. Bright and unburdened. He looked at her, sunlight catching her face, their daughters between them, her hair loose around her shoulders, the curve of her smile soft and sure. And the truth settled inside him. This is the life I was meant to build, not the legacy his mother tried to force, not the polished image of perfection he once thought he needed, not the cold marble halls of the Michael estate. But this messy, warm, honest home. This woman who fought and survived and finally opened her heart again. These daughters who looked at him like he was everything they ever wanted. This love rebuilt from ashes, stronger than before. Amelia took his hand, lacing their fingers together. Welcome home, she whispered. Jack smiled. I'm finally here.